hard. They're very hard to buy. Probably rare.
Wait a minute, that looks like a Ford Mustang, and in pure stock racing, that is a very rare artifact. But seriously, the Mustangs just don't seem to show up. Every year at the Pure Stock event, there's around 120 cars. So over the last 5 years, give or take about 600 total. And how many of those 600 do you think were Mustangs? 5. 5 Mustangs have showed up in the last 5 years.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
But at least we still got this one, 1969 Ford Mustang. And you may have noticed in the opening sequence that this thing has quite the bulge poking out of the hood.
And second of all, at this point in your life, if you haven't seen a bulge, well, I just feel sorry for you.
Hiss! And underneath that absolutely delicious looking bulge is a 428 cubic inch Super Cobra Jet.
USA?
And with the Super Cobra Jet, you got an oil cooler, a Holley 735 CFM carb, free-flowing exhaust manifolds, heavy-duty connecting rods, a compression ratio of 10.6 to 1, and Ford rated this thing 335 horsepower at 5,200 RPM and 440 pound-feet of torque at 3,400 RPM. And that might spark a mini riot with certain Ford fans, as some of them think the 428 was extremely underrated and made well over 400 horsepower. But in truth, that's not really accurate. I think the 428 made less than 400 horsepower, so change my mind.
Eat you ass
Hot Rod Magazine actually built a 428 Cobra Jet to original specs using NOS parts, and they discovered it made 365 horsepower at 4,800 RPM and 452 pound-feet of torque at 3,700 RPM. So Ford definitely did underrate the Cobra Jet, just not as much as what some people might expect.
Eat my butt!
And as well known as the Mustang might be, its opponent is kind of a different story. And that's because we're looking at a 1971 AMC Hornet SC360. And it wouldn't be too surprising if you've never seen one of these, because they were only produced between August of 1970 and February of 1971. There were 2 different engines available in this package. The first was a 2-barrel 360 making 245 horsepower, and there was also a 4-barrel version like that in our featured car, and it was rated 285 horsepower at 4,800 RPM and 390 pound-feet of torque at 3,200 RPM. It did that with a hydraulic lifter cam, 2-bolt mains, and a compression ratio of only 8.5 to 1. And that might not sound terribly impressive, but at least it came with AMC's absolutely awesome dogleg heads. So, what up, dog?
It's the one and only Digo Double J.
If you got a Mustang with a Super Cobra Jet, you had 2 transmissions available. You could get a 4-speed manual, or like our featured car, you could get a C6 3-speed automatic. AMC also had an automatic transmission available in addition to 2 different manual transmissions. The first was a 3-speed, and the other, like that in our featured car, was the Borg Warner T10 4-speed. How exotic. 354 gears were standard in the SC360 when equipped with a manual transmission, but our featured car has been upgraded just a little bit to a set of 410 gears. Back in the day, if you were looking to get your hands on a Super Cobra Jet, you first had to get the Cobra Jet and then option the drag pack. That would automatically upgrade you to the Super Cobra Jet engine. And with the drag pack, you had 2 rear gear sets available, 390 and 430, but the owner of this car has split the difference and put in a set of 411 gears. The weight of the Mustang? It's not too bad. And this specific car with driver is coming in at 3,642 pounds. And then we get to the SC360, and this car is a lightweight. With driver, it weighs only 3,234 pounds, and that gives it a 400-pound advantage over the Mustang. And with the relatively short production run of the SC360, they didn't make very many of these cars, only 784 in total. And if you break that down into the cars equipped with a 4-barrel carb and 4-speed manual transmission, well, that's only 306. And unfortunately, only 130 cars in total are accounted for today. And then we get to the Mustang, and you might be thinking to yourself, well, Cars and Zebras, they didn't put the Super Cobra Jet in any hardtop coupes. Well, they did. It was just very rare. There were 300,000 total Mustangs produced in 1969, and 3,100 of those were Super Cobra Jet cars. And then if we break that down into the specs of this car, an R-code Super Cobra Jet with an automatic transmission in a hardtop coupe, that accounts for only 9 total cars. 9. That makes this car rarer than a year where AC/DC doesn't release a new album. And I f***ing love it. I'm still deaf in my right ear from seeing them back in '09. The SC360 started out at only $2,663. The 4-speed was about $200, the twin grip differential around $43. And then possibly the greatest deal in the history of muscle cars was the Go package. That included the 4-barrel carburetor, the flattened hood scoop with ram air induction, dual exhaust, a handling package, a tachometer, and polyglass white letter tires. That was only going to set you back $199. So that gives you a grand total of $3,105 for the SC360 shown, and adjusting for inflation, that's only $19,954 today. The Mustang was also a pretty good deal. Hardtop V8 started at $2,740. Cobra Jet package was $289. Optional Ram Air was $133. Drag pack was $155, and then the automatic transmission would set you back another $222. That gives you a cheapest grand total of $3,539, and adjusting for inflation, that's $25,098 today. Just a little bit more information before we check out the first race. Temperature that day was 57 degrees, humidity 44%, elevation 944 feet, and barometric pressure was 29.44 inches. I will say that all of the cars were definitely struggling with traction, so let's see what happens.
Low like that. In the right lane is a car they made a little bit over 700. They're very hard to buy. Probably how many were built versus how easy it is to find. The AMC loses the
And the Mustang takes home the win, running a very impressive 12.74 seconds at 107.11 miles per hour. And even though the AMC had some obvious traction issues off the line, it was still able to run a 13.04 seconds at 106.96 miles per hour. So with the Mustang up 1-0, let's check out that second race.
360, SC360 in the left lane and 69 in the right lane. Larry Wayman is in the left lane with the SC360, AMC Hornets. And in the right lane, we've got Steve Vanderwall. 1281, 107 miles per hour from the Mustang.
And the Mustang pulls off the W again, running a 12.81 seconds at 107.36 miles per hour. And even though the SC360 is one of the most difficult cars to launch, especially in the dreaded left lane, it was still able to break into the 12s. Specifically, a 12.95 second quarter mile at 108.30 miles per hour. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough today, and the Mustang takes home the best of 3 title. These cars opted to not run a third round, so let's check out those races one more time without interruption.
1290, definitely low like that. In the right lane is a car they made a little bit over 700. They're very hard to buy. Probably rare. It's lopsided as far as how many were built versus how easy it is to find. The AMC loses the 360, SC360 with the SC360, AMC Hornets. And in the right lane, we've got Steve Vanderwall. $12.95.
Thanks for watching, I really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And come on, find us on Instagram, guy. What are you doing with your life?